And just like that, the winter break is over. F1 is back because in less than 24 hours, F1 pre-season testing will begin on Wednesday, as it is Tuesday. So let's talk about it, and let's talk about the big talking points. Christian Horner, dodgy text messages, and Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari is pretty much the big news. So you give your wee thoughts on that.
Well, the Christian Horner stuff, I don't think there's too much to talk about. Yeah, innocent until proven guilty. Albeit, it is 2024. I haven't read too much into the whole Christian Horner allegations, but until I'm more advanced on the topic, I'll just let it go. As for Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari, massive, but again, can't say it's a surprise because most people do want to drive for Ferrari, even if they're not really a team that's capable of winning you world titles. Lewis Hamilton might be thinking right now, maybe he doesn't think Mercedes are in a position to offer him a world title, so he's thinking, why not take a chance with Ferrari, and at least I can end my career getting to say that I drove for the famous Italian team, undoubtedly the most famous team in F1 history, and I think they always will be. Most of the greats got to drive for Ferrari at one point in their career. So
Yep. Do you think if Lewis Hamilton won his 8th world title with Ferrari, it would cement him as the GOAT? Because he's went to Schumacher's team, and considering the fact that...
well, not really, because he basically won 5 years titles in a dominant Mercedes.
Yeah, well, obviously, right, it'd still be a matter of opinions, but he's went to Ferrari and done what like Alonso, Vettel, Leclerc, etc. couldn't do.
Yeah, well,
obviously, he could go to Ferrari, right, and they could get a dominant car like
but
Red Bull.
if he does win the title, I think it's going to be because Ferrari's produced a better car than they gave Alonso and those guys, rather than Lewis Hamilton, who somehow took this car from, like, I don't know, a podium contender to a championship winner. But for me, I think if Lewis Hamilton wins an 8th title, he'll be considered the best purely because he's got 8 titles. Whether he does it at Mercedes this year or Ferrari next year, I think if he gets to 8, then he's going to be considered the greatest. A lot of people consider him the greatest already. A lot of people say that Schumacher didn't have teammates to battle. I mean, you can make that point, but I mean, I would argue that for 4 seasons straight, Hamilton had nobody but his teammate to battle, and his teammate was Valtteri Bottas. So, it depends on how you look at it.
And a lackluster Sebastian Vettel for half a season till he bottled it, sort of thing. But yeah, in terms of pre-season testing, it does begin on Wednesday. Only 3 days, which I like. I don't like when they give them like 2 weeks. So 3 days and then straight into Bahrain next week, which is on Saturday, the race because of Ramadan. First race ever on a Saturday. Thoughts on that? It's a bit weird.
Again, we're having to change because of Ramadan. If they don't want to race on a Sunday, then fucking don't host it. Simple as that.
There you go. Simple as that.
If you're not
folks.
willing to race, then don't host it.
Don't host it.
Do your camel racing or whatever it is you do. But don't be having Formula 1.
Don't be doing Formula 1. But what the Red Bull... Inshallah. Well, let's talk about McLaren, Aston Martin, Ferrari and Mercedes. Do you think anyone can get near Red Bull?
Well, last year they couldn't. Like, McLaren at points last year looked like they were going to become the second best team. But then, like, they started the season terrible, then they improved, and then just when it looked like they were about to consolidate themselves as the second best team, it's like they almost just fell off a cliff again. The McLaren was very inconsistent. You didn't know whether Norris was going to be challenging for podiums and challenging for, like, poles, or if he was going to struggle to make it into Q3 and struggle to get into the points. It was a weird season for McLaren.
Who would you stick your money on as the second fastest team? Because I think it's pointless saying who would be the fastest.
I would probably go with Mercedes.
Mercedes?
I think it's Mercedes, then Ferrari,
Then McLaren?
and maybe McLaren.
Any chance for Aston?
I hope so. Hope for Fernando Alonso's sake there's a chance for Martin, not Austin Martin. But I wouldn't count on it, so it is what it is. I want to see, like, I don't think Alonso's not going to win another world title, unfortunately, but if he can win a race, that would be fantastic. I think he arguably should have won Sandford last year.
And Monaco.
So we'll see what happens, guys. We'll catch you in the next one, but yeah, looking forward to the pre-season. Looking forward to actually seeing what they can do. People say that they do a lot of sandbagging, that's true, but I still think you can make an estimate guess on the pecking order. You basically know after pre-testing who's going to be pretty good and who's going to be pretty bad. So
Yeah, and we're going to leave our season predictions until after that, because it's a fucking guessing game until then. But you know who's going to be at the top, and you know who's going to be at the bottom, right?
And I just hope this season Perez turns up. I want to see a consistent Perez. It's no good Perez being good for, like, the first 5 races and then completely falling away, or being nowhere and then start challenging with 5 races to go. I think we need Perez to be good, because if Perez is good, at least you know that Max is going to have some sort of a challenge.
Yeah.
If Perez is shit and there's no one capable of challenging the Red Bull, then we're going to have another terrible season in F1.
But again, if Perez wins the first race, right? I'm not delusional. I'm not going to be like, oh well, looks like he's going to challenge him.
No,
in
I
the
think
23 races.
we need to see like
Half a season.
half a dozen races at least. I think, and if Perez is challenging, then great. But I think for Perez to win, he needs to be at his best. He probably needs to perform at his best, and I'd say he also needs to get a lot of luck. He can't afford DNFs. He can't afford retirements or penalties that send, and he probably needs Verstappen as well to get his fair share.
And also,
of bad luck.
I think his seat's at risk. I mean, he's out of contract at the end of this year, and I think if he has another poor season, why keep him?
Plus, also with Hamilton moving, that creates an opening at Mercedes, and normally you'll find when a driver leaves one big team, it does kind of reshuffle the pack.
Yep.
It's not normally just a like for like replacement.
And I think Mercedes have got to go for someone big. I don't think George Russell's good enough to lead them into the future. I think they'll go for Alonso Mercedes for a season or two. I do think that.
Yeah, I don't think Mercedes are simply going to either sign Leclerc or Sainz, and then that's it. You know, you could see the entire front teams get repackaged and whatnot. So be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.
Oh yeah.